Shalom. First and foremost, like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakarkadash. Double honors to the elders who preaching His word truthfully and sincerely. And Shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching His word truthfully and sincerely as well too. And I say Shalom to you Akim out there. And this is another news article that I'm about to bring out from the Associated Press. And this was by Edit M. Ledrer. If I pronounced the name, couldn't pronounce the name right. Associated Press as of yesterday, 9:37 p.m. And it reads, Israel and Palestine clash at UN meeting as tensions rise. It says the United Nations from the Associated Press, and it reads, Israel's UN ambassador accused the Palestinians on Wednesday of stabbing a knife into any for recoalition by seeking a adversary opinion from the UN highest court on Israel's decades of old occupation. And the Palestine UN envoy accused Israel's new government of seeking to crush his people. Expand the article. It says that the always contentious monthly UN security meeting on the Israeli-Palestine conflict was even more virulent and threatening this week. The UN Middle East envoy Tor Winsland warned that a dangerous cycle of violence persists on the ground, amidst increasing political tensions and a stalled peace process. Israelis and Palestine remain on a collision course, amidst escalation, political and inflammatory rhetoric, as well as a heightening violence in the West Bank, both with potential grave consequences, he said, absent and concerted in collective effort with all the strong support from the international community. Spoilers and extremists will continues to pour more fuel on the fire, and we will move still further from a peaceful resolution on the conflict. Unrelying on the ongoing violence in the Palestine decades-long quest for an independent state in the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem, territory seized by Israelis in the 1967 war. Israel considers the West Bank to be disputed territories and has built dozens of settlements that are now home roughly to 500,000 Jewish settlers. It says in the latest confrontation, the Palestinians and their support won UN General Assembly approved on December 30th on a resolution asking the International Court of Justice of ICJ to intervene in one of the world's largest running and thorniest disputes and render an advisory opinion on the legality of Israeli policies in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. And it says, while the court's ruling are not blind, they do influence international's opinions. Israel's new hardline government responds on January 6 by approving state to penalize the Palestinians in retaliation. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said they were aiming to what he called the extreme anti-Israeli step at the United Nations. The measures include withhold $39 million from the cash-strapped Palestinian authorities and transferring the funds instead of, I believe they was kind of concerned about that with the withheld of funds, I believe. It was a news article that I kept my eye had was interested in, and that kind of rang a bell right there. It was an article like a few days ago that kind of caught my attention, even though I just scrolled past it, and it was saying about the Palestinian administration was kind of worried that the measures of withholding funds, and it says the measure of withholding 39 million from the cash-gripped Palestinian authorities and transferring of funds instead of to a compensation program for the families of Israeli victims of Palestinian military attacks and deductions an amount equal to the sums of the authority paid last year to the families of the Palestinian prisoners of those killed in the conflict, including militants impl- implicated in the attacks against Israelis, ending the VIP travel privileges for the leading Palestinians. And it says the Palestinians respond by getting more than 90 countries to sign a statement expressing deepening concerns to penalizing the Palestinians for going to court and urging Israel to reverse the punishment measures. The Israeli Foreign Minister Ali Cohen rejected the statement. It says at Wednesday's Security Council meeting, Israel's UN ambassador Gilad Erdan accused the Palestinians of drafting a poisonous and destructive resolution referring to Israel with the ICJ, which is a sole of proposing of destroying Israel and the small hatter state. And it says he claimed this has been a Palestinian goal such before founding in 1948 and said one weapon they use is the manipulation and abuse of international bodies to force Israel to agree to their demands, which is called a multi TERROR. Erdogan pointed to the you know what Israel activity spurred by the Palestinians at the Gemino base UN Human Rights Counselor and the International Criminal Court and said that with the adoption of the General Assembly resolution on the ICJ, the Palestinians stabbed a knife in their heart of any chances of dialogue or reconciliation. He also accused the Palestinians and the UN aggravating Palestinian casualties and underreporting and discrimination against the Israeli victims. While 2022 may have been the deadliest year for Palestinian, you know what, he said, it was also the year with most you know what attacks committed against Israelis in a decade. Riyadh Mansour, the Palestinian UN ambassador, told the counselor the new Netanyahu-led government has said openly its program to increase settlements, exile, and demonstrating oppression, and it does not recognize our rights anywhere. And he proclaims in rights for its settlers everywhere, Mansour said. International communities overwhelmingly consider settlements to be legal. Israel's accusation of exaltation of East Jerusalem, home to the city's most sensitive holy sites, also is not international recognized. Mans- Mansour said peace is still possible, but I kind of highly doubt that. It says, but only if the Security Council and the international community stand up to the you know what and take action to end Israel's occupation, ensure accountability for the accusation of Jerusalem, recognize the state of Palestine and reject Israeli settlers in occupied territory. We face the absurd situation with impunity, I meant to say, is enjoyed by those who violate the law and collect punishment and do it by those entitled to its protection, Mansour told the council. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 9. Red letter, Yahweh Shai speaking. It says, "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions," and that's what we're hearing between the two different nations with the Palestine-Israeli situation, as violence continuously increase over the occupation of the West Bank and East Jerusalem and through the parts of the Gaza Strip and all that in that region, as you have continuously settlers of the small hatters, and hostility between the Israelis and Palestinians, and that's increasing. That's what you call commotions and wars. They have between one another, and it's increasing. So I don't think it's going to be any solution between these two. Sometimes they had solutions, and then it didn't last long. As we all knew that in the past, and potentially in the present as well too, is still not going to be any solution between these two countries. I mean, these two different states and these country of these two different nations. And it says Luke 21:9. I'm gonna bring it out again. "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be ye not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but at the end is not by and by." And this is Matthew's 24:6. "And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Right, that's a precept, a reference precept to Luke 21:9. And then Matthew's 24:6. And I'm gonna read the next verse in Matthew's 24:7. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places." Right, because we've seen a consistently rise and increase of nations against nations and kingdom against kingdoms, and proxy wars, commotions of wars between the two different nations. And that's what we are seeing with the Palestine-Israel situation, and potentially, attention is going to escalate once again as we continue to see it ongoing increase within the West Bank and throughout Jerusalem, you know. And we've been seeing ongoing attacks definitely increasing throughout the whole year 2022. Small hatters getting jacked up by the Palestinians, then the Israelis confiscating, destroying their settlements of Palestine's housing, and trying to occupy their whole territory in the West Bank. So those tensions are definitely going to continue to stir up, definitely between the Palestinians and the small hatters, along with the Israelis as well too, because the Palestinians look at them as they look at them as adversaries of the small hatters and the Israelis, because the Palestinians feel like they get oppressed by them, as they the West Bank in that area, in that region, it gets destroyed and get occupied, and they get kicked out of their own land as well too. They get fully oppressed, and that's what the Palestinian administration, they was kind of mad and accused the Israelis about that. So any peace solutions currently at the moment, you just kind of see that's not happening, and there's going to be increasing hostility between these two, between the Israelis and the Palestinians, as they continue to fight for land, in Jerusalem. So these two sides are not going to find any solution, any peace and stability, or none of that, And I'm going to bring out that First Thessalonians. And this is first Salaki. This is First Thessalonians 5:3. This is the book of First Thessalonians. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction come upon them, as a travail upon a woman with child, they shall not escape. Right. That's why they shall. That's why they. When I was reading through the news article with the Israel-Palestine situation, they was trying to see if it's possible it's gonna be some solution of peace on both sides. They say it's still possible, but it's highly unlikely though. And that's why I brought out First Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction come upon them. So, at the moment, currently, right now, we don't see any peace or solution between both sides. It's going to be still hostility between the Israelis and Palestinians. So that's why you see the commotions and wars between these two sides of the Israeli-Palestine situation over there in the Middle East, and it's going to continue to increase, because you're going to have rebellious and not resisting Palestinians against the Israelis. So those tensions are going to increase. They are not going to back down. The Palestinian rebels out there, they're not going to back down. Because you'll have some out there, because they feel like they people are oppressed, and they feel like, they don't have much freedom throughout the West Bank, because they feel like it's being under patrol, by the Israelis, and the small hatters. And the small hatters, I believe, when I was reading through the article, it says 500,000 small hatters has houses settled, while the Palestinians, their homes getting destroyed and being overthrown and being occupied by the Israelis and the small hatters as well too. That was something. Buy one isn't illegal. Oh, that's an advertisement.
But what is it?
That look like
They say your internet provider don't want you to have one of these.
Single tech booster. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It's buy one of these, it's illegal, but your internet provider does not want you to buy one.
I don't know what
So that means buy one. Fuck them. That's what that means. Buy one, because they don't want you to. I guess you plug this thing in somewhere, somehow or another, and you get everything. You must cut them off. You must cut them off.
I never seen that before.
I don't know what it is, but
Yeah. Yeah, unless that's probably like an internet booster.
That's what it said.
Yeah, that's what an internet booster is.
See what it said at the bottom of it? In small print.
It says sponsored by Tech Booster. Yeah, that's like a internet connection. Internet booster, yeah. Boost your internet connection. Yeah. Salaki about that. I was talking to my stepdad. But yeah, those tensions between the Israeli-Palestine situation is only going to continue to escalate and increase. Because you still have both sides fighting for a land that they say it belongs to the Palestinians, say it belongs to them. Then you got the Israelis, say it belongs to them. Then you got the small hatters, say it belongs to them. So, I don't know how that's going to work out of a two-state solution. I don't know how that's going to work out, because the previous time they tried to do that and then it didn't work out, because one side look at the Jewish state, that's the land that belongs to them. Then you got the Palestinians of their belief of what they're believing in. I'm not gonna say it. Say the land belongs to them. So I don't know how this two-state solution between, on the Israeli side and the Palestinian side, we don't know how they're gonna come to some agreement, because there's still gonna be animosity and commotions between both sides. And that's why I brought out the scripture, First Thessalonians 5:3, for they when they shall say peace and safety. So, at this moment right now, currently modern day, it seems like highly unlikely right now at the moment there's going to be a two-state solution between these two different nations of the Israelis and the Palestinians. Because you're going to have continued resistance from the Palestinian side, and then you're going to continue to have occupation over the Palestinians on the Israeli side. So you might not gonna see any two-state solution anytime soon. And if they do it, but it's not gonna last long, like it did in previous times, in previous years, that they did in the past, in the present, future, moving forward. You just don't see any two sides are not get along with one another. And that's why I brought out that scripture, Matthew 24:6. The wars and rumors of wars is gonna continue to heat up between these nations. And Matthew 24:7, nation shall rise against nation, and that's what we're seeing between these two different race. I mean, it's two nations, two different nations. Of the Palestinian side and Israeli side. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. Of this latest news article that I just brought out between Israel and Palestinian. As this news article was recently, as of yesterday, 9:37 p.m. from the United Nations of Associated Press, of rating Israel and Palestinians clash at a UN meeting as tensions rise, right? So those tensions are definitely going to increase and rise between both sides. And that's that commotions of wars between the two different nations and nations rising up against one another. So this thing is going to continue to heat up, even though we're so used and accustomed of seeing these two sides, these two long rivals clashing out with one another. You know, but we're going to continue to see it increase more and more and more. And there's a possibility of a highly unlikely of a two-state solution, or some type of both sides getting along with one another, or peace or stability. You just don't see it. You just don't see it happening. If it didn't happen over the previous years, it's not going to happen in the near future coming up modern day. So you still going to have this increase in hostility between both sides. As the nations rising against nations, definitely increasing. you know So with that, once again, I hope this sit-down lesson was edifying. This news article that I just brought out, and the scriptures that I brought out as well too, in reference to this news article. So with that, I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders who preach this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered to the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom.